Hello, good morning. Welcome to a very early Ones with the Force Star Wars podcast. This morning we're doing something slightly different. I am joined as usual by my co-host Dave and George. However, George is on the firing line today. He's being grilled by us on his brand new documentary, Building R2. Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm a bit tired, a little bit rough. I've got a bit of a croaky voice going on, but I think it's quite. For anyone who's listening who likes that kind of voice, it's going to be great for them. But yeah, looking forward to hearing some more about this documentary. So I think we're going to have a good few, hopefully quite a nice, juicy episode filled with information.
Yes, no, should be quite good indeed. So, good morning, George. Good to have you on. It's kind of like a weird one for us that we talk to you all the time. You are our usual co-host, but today something slightly different. So, just first of all, what course are you studying, and what was the final assignment? So, how did you kind of decide what you were going to do?
So, I've just actually, as of 2 days ago, I finished studying media production at Coventry University. And for my final major project, they call it, it's obviously you have a massive project, and with myself, this was around December. You come up with the idea. I've always had ideas in my head for stuff I wanted to do, but I want to do a documentary this time around. I've done short films. I'm bored to death of them. I want to do something that I'm going to enjoy making, that people will want to watch at home, and that people will have fun, like as myself making it, maybe people that offer to come on. And I was kind of thinking, I said, okay, well, the really obvious choice is to do something Star Wars related. And when I was at Star Wars Celebration last year, and not just when I met you guys, but I remember going to the Builders Club section. I think you guys will remember this, that it was completely rammed across the 3 days, and people were queuing to get in to see the droids. And when I was walking around, I loved it, because I've been to conventions before, and okay, there's maybe been a couple of droids, but I'd never seen the level that there were there, and seen half-built ones, full ones, different types. I was kind of really intrigued, and I thought, this is something awesome that not enough people know about. And so the idea's kind of been in my head since maybe July last year. And then when it got to the time, I was okay, what's your major project going to be? I thought, you know what, like, I'll do this documentary now on the Builders Club, because I thought to myself, okay, it's going to be the 40th. This is December, so I was planning 2017. Said, okay, it's going to be the 40th anniversary of Star Wars. That's going to be massive. My deadline's May the 12th, and May the 4th is obviously very, very close to that. And so I started contacting people, and for those that's in the documentary, Lee and Oliver. I will say this quickly. I contacted Lee first. I found his Twitter, and I spoke to him about this documentary, and he said he'd have a word with a load of builders at a massive meet there at the end of December. And then he said to create an account astromech.net, which I did do, put an opening post, blah, blah, blah. I'd like to build a droid one day. However, I'm joining now because I want to do a documentary on the Builders Club. A message by Oliver Steeples, who I knew of and who I'd wanted to speak to, and I was grateful he was the first one to message me. And Oliver kind of helped me get the plans in motion. He helped me set up interviews with a range of people, talking me through the Builders Club, going through stuff. So I don't know if I've gone way past the answer to that, but it was around December the idea came up. But what I've wanted to say is that this may have been a university project, but I haven't treated it like a university project. This has a lot more legs to stand on than any other uni project. This is something that Star Wars fans want to see. And I've created this in the goal that, yes, okay, it was handed in at uni, but this is something I've wanted to do for a long time.
I mean, certainly when you say legs to stand on, 3 is probably the number of legs. Sometimes 2. But yeah, I mean, it does come across obviously as way more than a university gig. Was there anything before you decided finally on the R2 idea? Was there any other ideas that you had? Was there anything maybe that wasn't even Star Wars related that you thought of maybe that you would do? I
had 2. The first one, many people know I'm a massive fan of wrestling. I've loved it. I looked at doing a documentary on the rise of British wrestling. For those that don't know wrestling, obviously it's like not WWE, but in Britain there's a massive amounts of stuff. And I originally looked at that, and then the problem with that is you need to be in contact wrestling promotions. So when I had all these ideas on paper, I thought, okay, that's a cool idea, but I've got no chance of really pulling that off. And the other idea was I was originally going to look at fandom as a whole for Star Wars, and I kind of thought, okay, I'd like to do some stuff with fans. I'd like to do some stuff with the UK Garrison. I'd like to do some stuff with the Builders Club. And that evolved saying that's so broad that it's quite not repetitive, but it's been done a lot. And I thought, you know what? I, for the love of me, can't think of anything remotely about the Builders Club documentary-wise. Most people know the story of Oliver and Lee at Star Wars. Or Oliver was at Star Wars Celebrations, spoke to Kathleen Kennedy, and they ended up working on the films. That was at Star Wars Celebration 2015. That story was told, and I've always stuck with that when I saw that at the live stream. And I thought I'd like to tell that story, but that's a story of 2 builders. What about all these other guys that have been doing it for years and years? And that really attracted me to saying, okay, let's just do a documentary on the R2 Builders Club, because there's 15,000 members. There's more than that on paper, but like sort of active ones, there's not enough people know about, and it's something I wanted to spread the word about because it's really awesome.
Yeah, fair enough there. So, so you talked about the R2 Builders Club and how you kind of got the idea for it. I mean, what got you started on those ideas, and what were the things that made you go down the documentary route to start with? As in, you talked about how you got bored of doing short films and then decided that you wanted to go down that documentary route, but what made you set out on the format that eventually led to the way you did it? As we both seen the documentary, Dave and I, we both absolutely love it. And also what we can see is it's not just interviews. You've got so many shots of the droids themselves. I mean, personally, I love the one where you've got that behind the scenes footage of it on the 2 legs and it falls over. I thought that was fantastic. I do love what you see in the background. So how did you come up with the format that you eventually came to kind of bring it all together?
So this is more of the editing, I guess. When I set up on the documentary, I thought, okay, there's 2 ways to do this. I can do a documentary on the origins of the Builders Club, because it was set up in 1999. However, that I thought that's more long-winded in the sense that would have been cool. But for me, I want to hear more about the stories. Like I said, of Star Wars Celebration with Lee and Oliver, I want to hear about these builders' stories and how it's come together. So by arranging the interviews with multiple people, essentially Building R2 is made up of 4 people telling their story of Building R2. That's where the name comes from. And sort of merging all together, I guess, in editing, I had like a long question list. I don't know if this is answering the question or not, but when it came to editing it together, it was kind of, so these guys are saying this, and I wanted to get sort of chapters done together, but I wanted a natural sort of narrative flow. And the guys were answering the questions beautifully, which made editing so much easier. Editing was a struggle because there was 95 minutes of footage, but yeah, does that answer the question? It was a weird one. It naturally came together for me. But also in terms of that, so I was going to say with that behind the scenes stuff, that was down to Sam sending me, because when we first met, he showed me that clip straight away. He goes, "Yeah, this is when my droid fell over," and he spoke about it in the documentary. Sent a message, goes, "Can I stick it in the film?" He's like, "Yeah, of course." So he sent me over. So it's some of the behind the scenes stuff is my own. Some of it is what the builders have sent to me. But it was so fun making it and editing it, getting to see all the sort of the B-roll stuff. I was given access to sort of Imgur buckets, if you know what them are, sort of photos. Brad had like over 1,000 images of his projects, which I was sifting through. I didn't actually use any, but just going through them was insane enough.
I mean, I think it was an awesome insight that you had these guys who had made this, one who'd made it his life, basically, who's now in the movie side of things. But you also had I'm really sorry, I've forgotten his name, but the guy who worked at the recycling plant, Sam, who was looking at taking this and hoping to make that his future as well. I thought was a really interesting side that you could see both sides of the story of someone who's just in the building for the building of the R2 and then hoping it'll lead to more, and then someone who got in there and it became his life. I think it was a really nice juxtaposition on both people to see. That's probably where he would have come from when he started, so it was a really nice thing on that.
Yeah. What I do want to say, sort of with the film stuff, I think it's all down credit to Disney and Lucasfilm, because by choosing to allow the UK builders to potentially have their droids featuring these films, or make them, as you've seen with Lee Oliver, Brad was in Rogue One, BHD, it's even canon, it's in the Visual Dictionary, and it's in Top Trumps. By Disney allowing that, I mean, they could have shipped some builders over from America, as in probably professionals, but rather than going to the builders that have done this for years, I thought it was a lovely touch, and it opens the door for so much more in the future. And it's what Sam said. He's built Q5 from Return of the Jedi in the sort of deleted scenes. It's archived. There's a lot of merchandise for Q5, but he's never been seen. So maybe in the future that opens up a door, we don't know. But I love the fact that people haven't just built R2 as well. The 4 interviews I've done, two of the guys have built an R2, Lee and Oliver, but Brad's obviously done BHD. He's the next two, and he's working on Juiced. Sam's done a Q5, but I can say Sam has now started his second build, which will be an R2.
So fair enough. So you talked about initially getting in touch with the Builders Club via the forum and other bits and pieces. How did you initially sit down and go, right, how am I going to get in touch with them? How am I going to get the word out? And what channels did you have to go down? Is there any red tape you had to go through? What was the process of going from your initial idea to actually speaking to these builders and starting to set up the interviews?
So the way I've seen a lot of people's projects go before, especially with documentaries, to me, you can't have a documentary unless you've got a plan in place for who you're meeting and who you're interviewing, sorry. So when the idea came, I thought, okay, I know Lee and Oliver's story. I want to see if I can contact one of those two first to sort of not get into the club, but I needed to get some contacts to then meet other people from. So before there was any pre-production or commitment to the idea, I needed confirmation from one or two of these guys. And I found Lee's Twitter, and I contacted him through there, sent him a long-winded email explaining the project and what I'm hoping to do, X, Y, Z. And he replied saying he'd be up for it, and he was going to speak to all the other builders for me at a massive meetup. And that was massive for me, because if I can get the yes off a couple of those guys, then that means, you know, say I had 7 interviews planned and you ended up with 4. If you've got enough, then you know you can make it. Because if I just had 2 interviews, then that leaves me in a bad position. So the entirety of the aim and the production of this was getting the interviews first. And once I had that green light, then I can go straight into the pre-production. And like I said before, so I went on astromech.net after I contacted Lee. I set up an account on there. It's a brilliant forum. You have to register and you kind of apply it. It's a good process. And I just put a welcome post, because there's always welcome posts. I explained it. And there's Oliver's on the sort of Builders Council. He welcomed me straight away, and he said, you know, I'd advise you to come onto the UK forum as well. Once you've got your astromech.net account, you can come onto the UK forum page as well. So I came on there, and from there on, Oliver was putting me in touch with people for different reasons. So of course we had Sam, and at the time this was early January, late December. Sam was still building; he hadn't been finished. Obviously, he put me through to Brad. Lee was already done, and there were a few other names that we'd spoken with, but I got it narrowed down to 4 interviews in the end. I think that answers it.
It does. I mean, one of my follow-up questions to that, you got in touch with people. Was Lucasfilm ever in that list of people to get in touch with? And was there anything behind that? Did you ever hear back, or if you did, contact them at all?
The original title for this film was Building R2, a Star Wars documentary, of the pun of Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I contacted Lucasfilm regarding using clips from the film without fair use, in terms of actually trying to get licensed clips so don't have to reference them, stuff like that. It was completely shunned, as anyone can guess, immediately. I got a reply off them. And from there on, I did my research on fair use, which is how I ended up using some of the Lucasfilm content, as obviously I put the copyright tags in. Technically, I have a couple of Lucasfilm guys in it that have worked with them, that one currently does, but it's a very sort of hard system to tackle. As a joke, when I was looking for narrators, I had been in contact with a director, but I'm not going to go into any more details on that, just in case something else happens in the future. But getting into Lucasfilm, getting through to them, that was going to be a tough mission. And you know, when I was getting to marketing, I was sort of tweeting when the film finished. A lot of people, sort of like Andy Gutierrez, Pablo Hidalgo, all the usual suspects. But I didn't break through to Lucasfilm for the interviews. I would have loved to, but maybe one day something else could happen.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, Lucasfilm is a very tough nut to crack. I mean, it's a large company, and of course, it's big IP. It's I can understand the red tape obviously had to go through that. So, okay, you talked about how you first got in touch with the Builders Club. How and when did you first meet them? What was your legwork before the interviews? How did you get to that?
So, when I'd been chatting with Oliver, on the emails to all the guys, I'd put, okay, this is George, blah, blah, blah. For one of the uni requirements, we had to make another website in early January describing the project. the website is full of nonsense, and I sent that to them in case someone clicked on it, and I hope they didn't, because it was an awful. It wasn't a terrible website, but it was one of them sort of uni requirements, like, what are your life goals for this project? What are you submitting it for? X, Y, and Z. And obviously, as every student does, you make the nonsense replies. I just wanted the golden ticket of, okay, I've got these interviews prepared. So what happened is I was chatting to the guys, mainly emails turned into Facebook. I got put into some Facebook groups, the UK and the Worldwide Builders Clubs, chatting to some guys off there. And I was kind of just chatting to them on and off for a couple of months, arranging filming dates, sending them questions. If there's anything that, so all the questions I sent to them early, just in case there's something they couldn't reply to or didn't want to reply. I didn't want to put them on the spot for filming. But in terms of meeting them, the first time I met all the guys was actually on the day of the interviews. But there's a funny story. So when I interviewed Sam, the MOT was arranged, but I wasn't fully in the know on it. And he kind of said to me a couple of weeks before filming, he's like, there's an MOT, do you want to come stay for it at the warehouse? I said, yeah, sure. He goes, Brad will be there. And I interviewed Brad the day after I interviewed Sam. So I met Brad the day before our interview, which was kind of cool, a little bit bizarre, but it's so easy to chat to these guys. I mean, they're lovely, and I've stayed in contact with them, and I want to stay and sort of be a part of the Builders Club of the future. But it was very often, it's a community that everyone was willing to chat, answer questions, help me out with stuff. Even when I was editing, I asked for a reference image of R2. They sent me links to the web to the Builders Club. They've got a special reference image section, and the guys were great. And maybe the first time I met them may have been at a convention, certainly Celebration last year, because I didn't know all of them. But the droids, Brad had his droids on display at Celebration, so technically he would have been there when I walked past, it's one of those cool stories where you don't know. Small world, isn't it? It's one of those.
Indeed. I mean, it really is. It's crazy that, I mean, obviously you met so many guys. Was there much that was anybody who you met who you had in the film who hasn't made the final cut? Are there a few people that have been sort of left out of the story that you've told in that 21 minutes?
Yes, there are. So I went to Sci-Fi Scarborough in early April, and originally the big ending with the film was going to be me at a convention with two droids, and I met Mark and Glyn, who I do credit in the film still because I hung with them for the weekend. I followed their droids around with them, was chatting with them. It was wonderful to be at Scarborough, being at a big convention, because in the film you get a couple of seconds of a sort of montage at Scarborough, and you can tell it's building up, but for reasons that the scenes didn't work, whenever I was trying to edit it together, I had to cut Scarborough, which was a shame. But I do have plans for it. I spoke to them. But yeah, the two big losses were Mark and Glyn. Mark was the R2 that's on the forefront of the marketing. Glyn had a PHT, I think it's called, which is a black and silver droid with two domes. But I was good. I had to cut them because I was with them guys for 2 days. Scarborough is a long, long way from where I live, and it was a shame I had to cut that scene. And I did meet other builders. James was at the MOT with myself, Brad, and Sam, and it's just one of those where I'll probably be meeting some more across the next few months, hopefully, at events.
Fantastic. So you mentioned Scarborough, and you mentioned the interviews and the MOT and stuff. How much did you actually shoot in the end, and how much did you have to leave out? I had 95 minutes of footage of the 4 interviews. Now, if I were to add, so that's just the 4 guys sitting down. If you see the scene with Sam where he takes the dome off his droid and is explaining the inside, the recycle parts, I would say that wasn't the interview. That was bonus stuff. I've probably got about 10 minutes of bonus stuff, and Scarborough I probably have about 15 minutes of footage. I'd probably got about 110 minutes of footage I could have used, but I had 110 minutes in the bank, plus B-roll to go over the top. So the MOT had loads of footage from there, a lot of stills. Scarborough there was so much footage. It was absolutely wonderful there. Just following the droids around, seeing them with the sort of public, how people are reacting with them. That was something of one of my earliest goals about the documentary to do. Unfortunately, it was cut, but there's some really awesome stuff. So, for example, on Brad's droid X2, the green one, the feet, the wheels,
They're sort of tracks, sort of what you see on like skiing sort of equipment. And we got a great video from there, which I couldn't put in. We also had him on his new droid, juiced off all the interior stuff of the dome, which looked wonderful, which I haven't been able to share yet. So I got quite a lot of extra stuff. And the main one I guess I got to include was Sam with the recycle parts, because his workplace, I had to cut a lot of the IWay stuff as well. His workplace is phenomenal, especially for the droid builders as well.
So I mean, it's an excellent story. I mean, you're right. When you see, especially when we're at Celebration together, when you see an R2 droid roll past anybody, the way people react to what is essentially a remote control model is quite surreal. The life that people can put into that when they see it, I mean, I can see why you went down that route of thinking, if I'm going to follow something, let's follow this. I think it inspires a lot of people. Was that a lot of thought behind what you did?
Kind of, yeah. So, like I said earlier, I wanted to sort of not introduce people, but people don't know about the Builders Club. And whenever I've been at events, you know, R2 is one of my favorite Star Wars characters. I know he's certainly one of Dave's and Phil's. And I thought this is really cool. And the people don't understand the time and effort they're building these. You don't just, a lot of people probably think you just go out and buy a droid for like $1,000 or $2,000. And I know Sideshow have done a terrible model they just made for like a couple of grand, which is disgrace. The effort these guys put in is something that people don't know about. And I thought, okay, if I can at least tell the story that these guys are building them, you know, it is a journey itself, but it's this wonderful story, then I wanted to go and explain that on camera, which I was fortunately able to.
So I think what we're all wondering is what's next. What do you have up your sleeve next? Because as we discussed over this interview, there's so much B-roll footage and so much extra footage you haven't yet used, and there's obviously a lot that you want to do with it. What is next for the film?
So I've got quite a few things planned. I want to release some of the Scarborough clips as external footage. So before the film came out, I did the 40th anniversary video, which I used as a sort of trailer to introduce the cast to everyone. That was originally going to come out on the 40th anniversary, but I thought I'd release this as a trailer instead because it's a great way to get to meet people, know the settings of the interviews. Like I said, I had about 100 minutes of footage. And if I cut out the bits that weren't actually the interview aspects, I think that totaled sort of 68 minutes, I remember. I am thinking about releasing an extended cut, not like sort of Lord of the Rings where it's a joke. I've got so much good footage, and there were so many scenes I had to cut, which I was gutted about because I've been messaging some of the guys. So for those that don't know, like Sam's a part of the UK garrison now. He's one of the few droids that's in it, and as well as himself signing up as a shadow trooper. I had to cut all the garrison stuff. I had to cut a lot more stuff, especially the films. The concentration of editing this was, I need to create a documentary that flows, that works together. I kind of get hung up on one or two things because as amazing it was listening to Lee Oliver and Brad talk about the films, this was a documentary about the Builders Club, so I had to focus on the droids. And, you know, there's a lot of other stuff I had to cut. Like I said, Brad explaining the dome inside, how he's created that, the tracks, Sam's workplace. Lee's got a brilliant story about a van he drives as well with R2. And I feel that I could easily add another 10-20 minutes, and it wouldn't hamper the documentary. And I've been thinking about this sorry especially after the last week, how well it's done online.
The online response, yeah, you've got to.
Yeah, sorry, I needed a drink. Yeah, everyone. I've been overwhelmed by the entirety of the project. Honestly, everyone sort of the feedback I've had from people, the views online. So it was embedded in Jedi News the last day or two. I've genuinely been shocked because I thought this is a documentary people wanted to see, but I didn't anticipate them wanting to see it so quickly. And already, so many people being almost 2,000 views now. And I thought, if I can do this extended edition, maybe even summer I could capture some new footage. I'm going to another event or two with them. I think I've got potential to build on this, and maybe even in the future tell some stories of some other builders, because I've interviewed 4 guys. There are thousands of members, and I would like to do a lot more of this project because it's interesting that people have enjoyed it, and I want to be able to keep telling the story.
I mean, I know certainly from my point of view, I mean, I love the documentary. It was very much, I'd be really interested in seeing the R2 coming together. I'd like to see the progression of a build. And obviously they can take years, but I think it's something that obviously if you're with the Builders Club, you can probably get this point from this point, this is the skin going on. So has this inspired you to even more want to start putting together your own droid?
Yes. So one of the reasons I did the documentary, but always in the background, ever since I was a little kid, I've kind of wanted an R2D2. I think everyone has. And I've kind of used the documentary as research as such. So when the when the time does come for me to eventually start researching for my build, I've now seen firsthand the materials they're using, the processes they're using. I'm seeing how they are in public. I've seen a lot of sort of making stuff. And I feel that one day I could build one. They're not as expensive as you'd think. It depends what you want to do with the droid. But I would certainly like to document a build as such, not necessarily my own, because it could be years before that.
No.
But I would certainly like to be, because with the documentary, obviously it's the 4 guys, they've all finished it essentially. Yes, Sam was kind of building it and he finishes MOT on the day. I feel as if that would have been nice to be with someone that's got like a half-built droid or something like that. So I'd like to show the process of the build rather than the guys just talking about it. Because if you see these droids, like when they're like half made, they still look wonderful, and you kind of want to see more about it.
So with the 1,800 plus views, with the phenomenal response you've had online, but be it Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, and as you've got the extended version in mind, can we ask, is there potentially a sequel planned where you do follow people's builds?
I can't sequel bait like a sort of like Alien announcing the next 3 films together. But I've thought about it a lot. I think that's the right answer to say. Whether I know I'm doing it at the moment, but I would like to speak with some more builders. I would like to hear other people's stories, because it's not just me that likes it. Clearly, a lot of other people have liked it. So maybe there is a second one that could be made. It may have been a university documentary, but I've got all my own equipment at home. So I'm not going to struggle to go out there and put the thing together.
I mean, I've got plenty of equipment here myself. We could do building R2, a Wonder of the Force Star Wars story. We could get our own version out there. You never know, a sequel where we actually look into in-depth across the country and see what we can come up with. You never know. It
would be something that, like I said, with you saying that, people are interested for it. And I think that's the right way to be, because some of the comments on YouTube have been guys that I didn't know people did this. I just thought that they'd have a droid and sort of maybe buy one. And I'm happy that I've been able to sort of tell people that this have been made. And yes, I would really like to document. I think that's me being honest now. I really, really, really want to see some more droids, and maybe I can start that second. Not just yet. I need to finish off the first properly though. But certainly in the future, I think people will be interested in hearing some more.
So in your future now, you've finished uni, projects handed in, all done. You've officially left. I'm guessing now just waiting for marks, which should be awesome just from the amount of attention this thing's garnered. Would documentary work be something you'd look at in the future, just as a general sort of thing, if that's where your interest lay, or is it more outside of that?
It's such a weird one, isn't it? I've never made a documentary before. This was my first one, and because I was passionate about making this, and I know a lot of people say about their projects, but like I said before, I've made short films before, and they've come out all right, but they've been an absolute nightmare. And for the first time, this was my Facebook status. I think one of you guys saw it. I was like, first time I'm actually proud of making something, because it didn't go wrong and it's came out all right. And that was before the kind of feedback from this documentary. And I think being able to have the freedom to choose what I wanted to make and why, I feel that documentary could be something I'm interested in doing, because I've done this on building R2, but like I said, I was looking at the Star Wars fan base. There could be some more stuff I do with it. I would like to maybe do some more documentaries. Yeah, I'd certainly say that I'm enjoying the documentary aspect more so than the the normal filmmaking act. It's just a lot easier to get interviews with people. They feel more legitimate than get turned down by an actor on the day of filming or something like that. So documentary is something that maybe I do kind of want to carry on doing.
Yeah, as we said, the online response has been phenomenal. What did the builders say? What did Brad, Lee, Oliver, and other people say and Sam? That's the other person I was thinking of. What did they say when they saw the documentary for the first time?
They all liked it. I could go and find the Facebook stuff, but that's going to take effort. No, I was genuinely overwhelmed. Lee shared it on his account. I've had all the guys commenting, not just these builders, a lot of the other builders themselves. I shared it into the group. There was like a thank you message from someone for being able to sort of tell the story of the Builders Club. I was overwhelmed because yes, this is a documentary, and I've kind of aimed it at Star Wars fans, but I wanted it to, I wanted the builders to like it because this is about their hobby. And if 100 people liked it and 10 people didn't, if them 10 people were builders, then I'd have been kind of devastated. But they didn't, which was great. And I feel that I've done a good enough job. And like I said, I've been overwhelmed. And the feedback's come from not just the builders, but the kind of public as well.
It is a phenomenal success. I mean, it really is. For being, as you said, you didn't put this out as a uni project. You just put this out there. For it to get the attention it did is not something that I think, certainly yourself, I know you said behind closed doors that you were expecting maybe a couple of 100 people to maybe see it, a couple of views like that. And obviously it's just shot up there, and it's rising every day. The power of social media, I guess, is something that you have played into with the Tops cards that you created and the website, and obviously having, I mean, you are on 2 YouTube channels yourself, so you've got this audience that you can get out there. So did you feel the power of social media to then use in the marketing?
Yeah, so the Facebook page is really where everything came together for me. After Scarborough, I finally got some shots of R2 from Mark's droid to put on the posters, and it was an aluminium build. It looked absolutely stunning. I just created a poster, like a sort of banner, the banner that everyone's seen in the golden text, the Rogue One text, I can kind of say. The ones with the Force text as well, you can say.
Should definitely say that.
Definitely. And essentially, I just made a Facebook page out of curiosity. And before I actually shared it and started putting stuff, I got a couple of likes of 1 or 2 people. And then I just went for it. I put the page together, and I'm trying to market a documentary that I'm interested in doing. So I boosted the post 25 quid, shared it to the Builder Club, the Facebook groups, the UK and the worldwide one, shared it to myself, invited some people like Star Wars. And like the first day or two, I think I got about 100 likes within 3 days, 4 or 5 days, which I was quite shocked about because it's not easy getting this Facebook. And I thought, okay, I want to keep people hooked because I've said I wanted this out on May the 4th, but I didn't know if I'd get it ready for May the 4th. May the 4th could have been a trailer. And what can I do for a month to get them keep coming back, keep them interested, and find out more about the documentary? So I've released 2 more banners. I used one of X2 and the second one of R5. And what I essentially did was I'd kind of do teaser. I'm going to unveil a banner in 2 days. Here's hint 1, that what the droid's going to be on the banner, and here's hint 2, and then I'd unveil this. And I unveiled 3 months. This is cool, but I don't have like enough banners to unveil across a month, and that's not a bit boring. But you shouldn't be relying on banners. So I made 3 ones. That's quite common for marketing. And then it hit me when The Force Awakens came out. Well, the trailer, sorry. But they announced the character's name via the retro trading cards. I don't know if you guys can remember, but it was the red, and it would say Kylo Ren igniting his lightsaber, Rey on her speeder bike. I remember those, and I thought that was a cool way to introduce them. And then if you think back to Celebration last year, the Builders Club had their own. Lee had actually made his own version of the retro trading cards for the Builders Club, which I remember getting one from last year. And,
I myself didn't actually get in there. It was that round I didn't get in to see them. So yeah. Sorry, continue.
Lee gave me his one of the complete sets for it, which I was kind of shocked by because that was awesome.
Nice.
Because I think there's 24, and it's each build that was there, and their droid. It was a card for them, which I loved. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, it's the 40th anniversary of Star Wars. A big bit of marketing is going to come from this anniversary aspect of it. So why don't I do some trading cards? And I thought, it's not going to be easy designing trading cards. So I essentially got the original sort of tops design, did some Photoshop malarkey, managed to get rid of the Star Wars logo and put Building R2 up in their font, and then I did the classic number aspect. And what I essentially did was I sat down one night and I went through all my images, edited the best of the, not the best of the best, but I got, okay, what's going to be cool that would a trading card aspect be? And I think I came up with 24 total. The OCD in me, it was 23, and I thought I needed it to be an even number. That's why I stuck one of me up and Mark Hamill, because I kind of, what happened is one of the builders messaged me on the page saying, do you mind if I ask who's behind this? You could be a builder I know. So I explained like who I am, and I thought, okay, maybe I'll release a card just explaining that who I am. So that's where the director card came from, which felt really weird to make. But yeah, I came up with the 24. I wanted to introduce the droids that you've seen on the banner, but without the font. I wanted to show sort of some behind the scenes images from filming, some of the Scarborough stuff, because there were some amazing pictures. And when I got these 24 cards, I could release these all at once because they look amazing, but I've got to keep people hooked. That's the whole point of this Facebook page, is getting interest. So every sort of, I'd release 3 images at a time, and I think I did it over about a 3-week period. So it's kind of every couple of days, and I was genuinely shocked at people's reaction to them. Like, you know, they were getting shared a lot. People were liking them, they're commenting on them, and I didn't think they'd work as well as they did, but I think that made a lot of people excited for the project because I was using it to tease things. I was teasing who's in the documentary. Some of the images were in the documentary. Some of it's from Scarborough. And if you look at the trading cards, you can see clearly like how much more stuff there was for Scarborough, especially when I made them the back, because it's kind of the narrative. I've got the droids at the start, the interviews, the build, and the trading cards finished with the Scarborough stuff. And that's kind of indicated to me that Scarborough was going to be the final piece, but the trading cards are a great way to keep people hooked. And as I said, the 40th anniversary video was going to come out on the anniversary originally. Instead, I released it a month early because editing was going well. And I thought if I drop a teaser now, that's going to get people interested to finding out who these guys are. And then when I finished editing on May the 2nd, and May the 4th was 2 days away, I thought I'm going to release it on May the 4th. It's the best day of the year to release anything related to Star Wars. And I teased a massive announcement that was going to come at 5 p.m. And most people are probably expected a release date. And then the announcement was just, I'm going to release at 8 p.m. tonight, because it was ready. But having the shock of it drop so quickly, I thought a good shock effect was the good way to do it. And then it came online from there, and it all came together. And I think a lot of that's down to the Facebook, because I didn't want to do a Twitter, because with Facebook you can schedule posts, and if you're marketing, people will come for your page on Facebook, whereas Twitter, you have to go out and find theirs. I didn't have the time to go out and find every single person on Twitter that would want to watch the film. Instead, I used Facebook to bring them towards it, which I think has worked wonders.
So you talk about a lot in this interview about looking at the droids themselves. I mean, for future projects, are there any droids you'd love to see in person? And I'd love to interview certain creators, for example, anyone with an actual full R2-D2, or perhaps even R2-KT or anything along those lines. Maybe even a certain C110P.
Right. So Lee and Oliver have both built R2s, but Oliver had the R5 on display, the red one, the double interview. I would love to see a BB-8, because Mark, who built R2, is currently building a BB-8. I want to see one of them being built by a builder. I would love to see a Chopper. There's a UK builder that's doing one now. I know it's not related to Star Wars. I would love to see a Wally, because there is a Wally's Builders Club, awesome. And nice. That would be awesome. But if I do it again, I'd want to have a look. I'd want to expand, because it was awesome seeing all these droids. But like I said earlier, I love the ones that aren't just R2. And by getting that variety, I think really helped the documentary. And even some of the guys that are in the documentary, you go to Con and you see 6 R2s, and they're great, but there's just something missing when there's not another droid there. And I'd like to keep that kind of formula. Yes, I'd love to do an R2 again in this, but in the next one, maybe I'd want to see the other droids and how they've come out.
Definitely. I mean, we've covered pretty much everything that I know. We had questions listed. I know we've covered everything, sort of in the questions and answers in that. Is there anything that you kind of want to put out there? Any messages, any thanks that you want to add to this, or anything that you just want to say, really?
I want to thank the entirety of that UK Builders Club for being so wonderful, helping me in the pre-production, allowing me to sort of be on their forums and lurk on them and be around them, letting me come to conventions with them. Shout outs to Lee, Oliver, Sam, Brad, Glenn, and Mark for essentially letting me be with them. I know Glenn and Mark didn't make the final cut, but that's something I am working on as soon as I can because their scenes were amazing. But in general, it's been honestly one of the funnest projects I've ever made. Definitely the best project I've ever made. And I want to see where this thing goes because if the right people see it, who knows what could happen in the future. But it's a documentary that people have been interested by. And for them allowing me to kind of be a part of the club to do this has genuinely been one of the best things for me. I could have done this away from the club and then it wouldn't have felt right. But going to the club, being a part of them, it's made all the difference to how this film's come out. And I honestly can't thank them enough. And for everyone, for the wonderful feedback, those that have dropped me messages saying that they liked it. Some people that I'm close with, I don't think I like it, but I did. Honestly, everyone's kind of feedback has been overwhelming as such.
Indeed, indeed. So we were very lucky, Dave and I. We got to see it early. So there's behind closed doors. Of course, being who we are with Ones with the Force, we chat all the time. We do have our regular podcast we do every 2 weeks, and we do have to. Well, we don't have to, but we want to chat. But we chat about what we got planning for the next episode and all the rest of it, including specials like this interview. And we were lucky enough that George sent it over early, and we absolutely loved it. From both Dave and myself, we want to say a massive congratulations to you because it's done phenomenally well. We agree with you. We thought we'd get a couple hundred views, but we thought it should and could get more, and it's done fantastically well. We can't wait to see what more you got in the future. I think that's about it. We've got to add. Dave, anything else you want to put on that?
No, just really a big thanks to George for letting this interview happen on our channel because there are other places he could have put this out. He could just put this out on his Facebook. He could have put it out as his own YouTube channel for the R2 building documentary, which is out there. So if people are interested, check out everywhere for Building R2 a documentary. It has its own YouTube channel with the videos on there, and as he said, the 40th anniversary, sort of the preview, and there's obviously the Facebook page is still there. I don't know, George, will you still be updating things on there as this goes?
Yes, the Facebook page I'm keeping active. It's something that I've been able to chat with a lot of cool people about, and any major plans you will find on the Facebook page. Any more interviews, any bonus scenes, it's all going to get announced on there first. The possibility of even making the sort of the vintage trading cards a real thing is something I've been looking at. It's been quite hard to do, but there's any information about this project, it's going to go straight onto the Facebook page for sure. That's the best way to follow it.
So yeah, really just a big thank you for coming on with us again today. As obviously, I know we talk to each other all the time, but it's really nice to get this opportunity just to sit down and talk about this. So yeah, from me, just a big thank you for doing it.
No worries. Thank you for letting me come on.
Yeah, that's right. Well, so that's a wrap from us. So we've been Ones of the Force. May the Force be with you. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to check out the Ones of the Force podcast. We're live 8 p.m. on Wednesdays every other week. We've got other bits and pieces coming up. So massive congratulations to George. Go and check out Building R2. So we've Ones of the Force. May the Force be with you. Goodbye.